Hello and welcome. You're watching WION World as One. My name is Heem Kaur Soroya and here's what we've lined up for you on Speed News today. Ukraine's capital Kyiv and port city of Odesa came under massive drone attacks by Russia early on Tuesday, resulting in at least one death and several injuries. In Odesa, a 59-year-old man was killed, 4 others wounded when Russian drones struck residential buildings. Governor Oleg Kiper reported damage to civilian infrastructure and fires in the area. The attacks hit at least 7 districts in Kyiv, with buildings and cars on fire. Emergency services and medics have been dispatched to the sites of the attack. Mayor Vitaly Klitschko urged residents to stay in shelters, warning that the massive attack on the capital continues. Iran's foreign ministry has said a new round of nuclear talks with the United States is being planned for Sunday, after President Donald Trump said it was expected on Thursday. Iran and the United States have held 5 rounds of talks since April to come out with a new nuclear deal to replace the 2015 accord abandoned by Trump during his first term in 2018. Trump has said new US-Iran talks would clarify if a nuclear deal is possible to avoid military action. Police in Austin, Texas dispersed and arrested protesters demonstrating against the Trump administration's aggressive immigration policies on Monday night. According to local reports, the Texas protests were being held in solidarity with those in LA, which was sparked by immigration raids in Southern California. Footage carried by local media showed police firing tear gas canisters at what appeared to be around a dozen protesters in Austin. Aerial footage in Texan city of Dallas also showed protesters facing off with a line of police. Union leaders and immigrant advocates rallied in San Francisco to denounce federal immigration raids and support David Huerta, president of Service Employees International Union California, who was arrested during a protest outside LA, business suspected of hiring undocumented migrants. Huerta's arrest has sparked widespread outrage, with rallies held in cities across the United States, including LA, Chicago, New York, Boston, calling for his release and an end to President Trump's immigration crackdown. Prominent Democrats, including Governor Gavin Newsom and Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi, have defended Huerta, citing his First Amendment rights. Huerta was released on Monday after a $50,000 bond after a federal court hearing. He urged workers to stand united across the country. Former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Olmert has called on US President Donald Trump to tell Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu enough is enough. Regarding the ongoing conflict in Gaza, Olmert described the continuation of the war as a crime and emphasized that a two-state solution is the only way to end the conflict. He also believes that the US has significant influence over Israel's government and that Trump can, in fact, make a difference. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney has announced that the country will reach NATO's defence spending target of 2% of GDP this year, 5 years ahead of schedule. by adding $9 billion in spending to its fiscal framework. This increase aims to revitalize Canada's military to defend its sovereign territory amid growing threats from China, Russia, cyber attacks and climate change. Carney said Canada would pursue new security relationships with like-minded partners with a specific focus on Europe. U.S. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has fired all 17 members of the Center for Disease Control and Prevention's Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices, a panel that advises on vaccine safety and recommends vaccine usage. Kennedy claims this move will restore public trust in vaccine science, prioritizing public health and evidence-based medicine. However, many experts have expressed concerns that the shake-up will undermine public confidence in the health agencies. The United States has arrested a third Chinese national accused of smuggling biological materials into the U.S. for work at a university in a Michigan laboratory. PhD student Cheng Xuan Han has been accused of making false statements to the U.S. Customs and Border Protection officers. He was also apprehended at Detroit Metropolitan Airport, allegedly sent 4 packages from China, which contained concealed biological materials between 2024 and 2025. The incident has raised concerns about potential agro-terrorism risks and national security implications, with authorities describing it as a part of an alarming pattern threatening U.S. security. A small plane crashed into the ocean of San Diego's coast, killing all 6 on board. The crash took place approximately 5 miles from Point Loma shortly after takeoff. The twin-engine Cessna 414 bound for Phoenix went down in waters about 200 feet deep. Authorities, including the U.S. Coast Guard, discovered a debris field and initiated a search. The National Transportation Safety Board and Federal Aviation Administration are jointly investigating the cause of the crash as well. Berlin marked the 30th anniversary of Christo and Jean-Claude's iconic wrapped Reichstag artwork with a stunning light projection on the Reichstag building. The original installation, which took place in June in 1995, saw the artist wrap the building in 100,000 square meters of shimmering silver fabric, attracting hundreds of thousands of visitors. The recent projection mapping onto the west facade of the building commemorates this monumental sculpture. Christo and Jean-Claude's work symbolized unified Germany and marked Berlin's return as a world city, evoking themes of fluidity, rebirth and impermanence.
Drei, zwei, stopp. Drei, zwei.
The historic town of Pirenópolis in central Brazil recently celebrated the Festa do Divino Espírito Santo, a vibrant religious and cultural festival held annually around Pentecost. The festival, dating back to the 19th century, blends Catholic traditions with folklore and theatrical performances, featuring the iconic cavalcadas, where knights on horseback charge at each other and masked riders known as mascarados add humor and fun. Recognized as intangible cultural heritage by Brazil's National Institute of Historic and Artistic Heritage, the festival showcases the country's colonial roots and unique cultural identity.
Mas a sugestão...
Legendary software pioneer Bill Atkinson has died of pancreatic cancer, aged 74. Played a very pivotal role in the development and original Apple Macintosh computer. also programmed Quick Draw, foundational software used for both Lisa and Macintosh computers. Atkinson passed away at his home in Portola Valley in San Francisco Bay Area. Apple CEO Tim Cook took to social media platform X to condole Atkinson's death. Now, Barclays is gearing up to lay off more than 200 employees in its investment banking division in the next few days. This is part of CEO CS Venkat Krishnan's strategy to increase the division's profitability. The cuts will affect employees in investment banking, global markets and research, with managing directors being the most senior roles affected. The layoffs represent about 3% of the investment bank's headcount. The job cuts are meant to give the bank more capacity to invest in priority areas and save costs. The March quarter was the strongest in 5 years for precious metals dealers at major banks, including Morgan Stanley and JP Morgan Chase. A rush of bets on bullion in the US was fueled in part by an arbitrage opportunity that led 12 top banks to collectively earn $500 million from precious metals in the March quarter. That's approximately twice the average earnings per quarter over the past 10 years. Some of the windfall came from a lucrative premium for bullion in the US. Fears that precious metals would be subject to tariffs prompted dealers to ship huge volumes of gold and silver into the US future exchange warehouses. The mini rally in Bitcoin over the past few trading sessions has made every purchase of the crypto token by Michael Saylor's strategy over the last 4+ years profitable. Strategy has made over 70 unique acquisition announcements since Saylor started investing funds into Bitcoin in the middle of 2020. Saylor's firm owns 582,000 Bitcoin, valued at about $62.9 billion. With an overall average price per token of $70,086, Bitcoin is currently trading close to $110,000, not too far away from its all-time peak of just above $111,000. Strategy is leading corporate holder of the digital currency. Saylor is pledged to raise $84 billion in equity and debt to purchase more Bitcoin. The Saudi approach to OPEC's oil output rises is to launch a long but shallow price war to reclaim market dominance. This according to Bank of America's head of commodities research. Last month, the producer group announced an unexpected third production boost of almost 400,000 barrels a day. With these developments, years of supply constraints that maintained higher prices are starting to reverse. The kingdom is also working to regain market share from fellow OPEC Plus members. The research head noted that the change in strategy is already producing results. The latest US oil drilling data shows that the lowest rig count in about 4 years.